Hey everyone, the market took a little bit of a nasty dump this afternoon, ending the day down nearly 1%. We came right into this 567 level. We actually mentioned this in last night's video as a possible target early in the week. And this 567 level, though, seems like a pretty decent zone for support. We've seen the 566 to 567 level in several instances over the past week show pretty nice support, having bounces from that level. And so there's a lot of reasons why we could see some bullish momentum coming into tomorrow and into Wednesday. Sean, I don't know. Why don't you give us your perspective? Where do you think the market's at? Is this a zone we should be looking at going long or short?
Good point, Anthony, on that dealer cluster zone. I was also watching that. One thing I noticed, if you look at the VIX here, we've got the 2-hour Keltner's in a steep uptrend. That's bullish for volatility. But however, we are at the top of the 2-hour channel here. So, sometimes if you get a really big spike, like we saw back here before early August, you can just keep going until you reach the top of wherever that spike is going to go. But all things being equal, the odds are we're probably due for a rebound with the market and maybe this VIX to pull back at least to 20, if not maybe 19, which is close to this whole moving average. I don't know that it's as even as the flip of a coin, but generally speaking, when we're at the top of this channel, I'm betting on a volatility pullback and the market to bounce.
Yeah, great point, Sean, on the VIX. You mentioned this dealer cluster zone. I just want to take another look here at the SPY. We mentioned this 560 level last week as a potential target if things really start to unwind. That's just at the end of the lower dealer cluster zone here. This area is where we expect dealers to be buying or market participants to be buying as a zone of support. And so we're really going to be watching into tomorrow and into Wednesday. We're going to be watching on the upside for potential reversal strikes like the 575 and the 580 strikes. Those are going to be the largest positive gamma exposure levels. And so if we can get back up here above the 0 gamma line, which is currently just above 570, if we can get back above that, there's a really good possibility of reaching this 580 level by the end of the week. And on the downside, it's going to be this 560 target. So always good to have these levels in front of you because on any given day, the market can open up in bullish sentiment or in bearish sentiment. So you want to know on an intraday basis, especially if you're trading shorter term, where the most likely target is going to be.
All right, now we're going to look at some tickers that we've been watching. And even though there's uncertainty with the market, we're still finding individual opportunities that seem to have good setups, which is great. And so the first thing that I just noticed today is Johnson & Johnson. That's J&J. And we'll start with the chart. These Keltner channels, you can see they've been in a steep uptrend until recently. And of course, I've got the weekly chart pulled up here. We've been in a downtrend. But we are near the bottom of the Keltner channel on the weekly, which is right here. If we look at the gamma picture, we're in this dealer cluster zone, which is kind of nestled up against the 0 gamma line, but all the volume is up here at our higher targets too, 170. So that's encouraging. If we scroll down, you can see we've got positive gamma. We're kind of right around this big negative cluster at 160, kind of a natural spot to act as a potential resistance or support, depending on what happens with price from here. But with gamma positive and the volume and this large gamma level at 170, I have the odds tilted toward the positive side on this one.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. J&J definitely one to watch for sure. I'm looking at AMD. Semiconductors have really been trading well over the last several sessions. What really caught my attention on AMD, however, is the large gamma exposure concentrations we see here between the 170 and the 180 strike. And also a ton of volume coming in today in the options market at those same strikes. This is, upwards of 80,000 contracts at the 170, 175, and the 180 strikes. That's highlighted here by these blue bars. Purple bars are gamma exposure. And so, we're entering this dealer cluster zone here on AMD. We could see a little bit of a retracement maybe, or some stagnation for a couple of days, but I think the bias is positive into the October monthly expiration to the upside, potentially up to this 180 strike. So that's one that we're definitely going to be watching in Discord and potentially adding that as a trade this week.
All right, Anthony, my last one for today is Chipotle. I just had one of their burritos yesterday, actually. And if you look at the chart here, even though we are below the whole moving average, and we have been since late September, that last week, we did try to, for the first time since then, we did try to poke up over the whole moving average today. And so far, we've been holding this middle Keltner channel, and we're still in an uptrend. So, that's the chart for you. Now, I will take a look at the gamma picture, which I think is what kind of tilted the odds in my mind. And so we are just a little bit below the zero gamma level, but we have both volume and a big gamma strike here at 60. So, looking for Chipotle to kind of regain that zero line and, and hopefully make it up to the 60 level.
Yeah, thanks for that on Chipotle, Sean, and I hope that burrito treated you all right. Next, I want to talk about Meta. Meta is a name we've actually been trading the last couple of weeks. We were targeting this 600 strike, and we actually got that today on the open. You can see this large gamma exposure concentration that's been sitting there for several weeks, 3 or 4 weeks now. And this is actually a great example of why we love gamma exposure so much. This 600 strike here was staring us in the face like 3 weeks ago, back when Meta was trading, in the 570s, like all the way down here. And this is how gamma exposure works. As price starts building momentum, it's a natural magnet, and it just comes right up and tags it. And this is some classic behavior that we saw today. This is why we identify these dealer cluster zones, because dealers will oftentimes, at least on the upside, will start selling shares here, which this kind of creates a resistance zone, as dealers are selling shares of the underlying security in order to hedge their options positions. And so that was what basically took place today in Meta, trading all the way back down to the 585 level. And so just real quick to show you how we use this gamma exposure data to our benefit is a post we made here a couple of weeks ago on September 26th in our Discord community. We actually were buying one of the October 18th 575 600 call debit spreads. It's a $25 wide call debit spread. Max profit potential, $17.90. Max risk was $7.10. Now, we only bought one of these. We're managing a educational portfolio, $10,000. And so you obviously scale this. And so the nature of the portfolio is really just to educate on the different ways to use gamma exposure. But I want to highlight here where Meta was trading and what the gamma exposure picture looked like. Meta was trading at 564. And you can see we had two levels here. One was at the 570 strike, and the other, which is the one we were paying attention to, was all the way at the 600 strike. So we had a dealer cluster zone right here, but we had this growing gamma exposure concentration way up higher. And so we thought maybe with a little bit of more consolidation before a big breakout to the 600 strike. And that's exactly what happened. This is how we use gamma exposure to find these type of trade setups. So I'm bringing that trade up just to highlight, these setups often will give you 2 or 3 different types of plays, because the gamma exposure is still here at the 600 strike. We've got a couple of weeks to go before the big October monthly expiration, but you can see market participants are still very interested in this 600 strike. So on this pullback here that we had today back into like the 585 range, this could be another play for a potential move back up into that 600 strike, especially if we see, more days like today with the volume coming in at that level. So if you guys are interested in learning more about gamma exposure and how we use our strategies, I'll put a link down below to our community Discord. We invite you guys to come on in, join the conversation. We have several open channels to everybody, so you're more than welcome to come and join us and see exactly how we're using this data. Also, just a reminder, if you're interested in using our gamma exposure dashboard and our option flow analytics, head on over to geeksoffinance.com. You can sign up and become a member and get access to these valuable market insights. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.